Miami Vice changed everything about the face of television, and I'm going to tell you how. Miami Vice was an hour-long cop drama that was created by Anthony Yerkovich and executive produced by Michael Mann. Pitched to the network under the irresistible premise of MTV Cops, it aired on NBC from 1984 to 1989. Today I'll be discussing the pilot episode, Brother's Keeper, which premiered on September 16, 1984. It was written by Yerkovich and directed by Thomas Carter, who'd go on to direct feature films like Save the Last Dance and Coach Carter. It opens on the gritty streets of mid-80s New York City, where NYPD detective Ricardo Tubbs, commonly known as Rico, is pulling a sawed-off shotgun on the backup dancers from the Beat It video while stalking a lethal and powerful Colombian drug lord named Calderon, who was responsible for the murder of Tubbs' older brother. Calderon is played by Puerto Rican-born poet Miguel Pinheiro, whose life story was dramatized in the eponymous 2001 biopic Pinheiro. Tubbs is played by Philip Michael Thomas, who is very good in this role. He infuses Tubbs with a level-headed intelligence and a dry sense of humor. Meanwhile, in Miami, hot-tempered yet soft-hearted vice detective James Sonny Crockett is deep undercover as low-life drug runner Sonny Burnett. Crockett, like Tubbs, is hot on the trail of Calderon. This is the role that made Don Johnson a global pop culture icon and an international heartthrob, though he'd had a decent career in film and television pre-Vice. Among his other credits, he starred in the post-apocalyptic cult favorite A Boy and His Dog, which was based on a novella by sci-fi legend Harlan Ellison. We've got a lot to get through, and my goal is to keep these short and to the point, but I do have to ask, quick show of hands, how many of you have seen A Boy and His Dog? Great film. I highly recommend it. Johnson's fantastic in it. But it has an ending that is so hilariously horrible that every time the film comes up in casual conversation, I have to physically restrain myself from blurting out spoilers. I really want to spoil the ending for you right now. Crockett, who is perpetually deep undercover as his drug-running alter ego Sonny Burnett, lives on a boat in the harbor with a pet alligator named Elvis. When we are first introduced to Crockett, he also has a partner, Eddie, who is played by LA Law star Jimmy Smits in his very first screen appearance. Eddie has 2 or 3 scenes, and then he's blown to bits, and Crockett is suddenly in need of a new partner. We meet the rest of the Vice Squad, which includes Gregory Sierra as Lieutenant Lou Rodriguez, who chomps on a cigar and yells at Crockett to do things by the book. This is a character we've seen on many, many cop shows. Miami Vice isn't just a cop show, though, so Rodriguez isn't long for the series. He'll make his exit in a few episodes, and he'll be replaced by something weird and wonderful. That's just a teaser. We'll get there when we get there. Supporting cast members include modestly endearing screw-ups Switek and Zito, played respectively by Michael Talbot and John Deal, and hyper-competent knockouts Gina and Trudy, played by Sandra Santiago and Olivia Brown, all of whom we'll learn more about in later episodes. We also meet Sonny's estranged wife Caroline, played by Belinda Montgomery, who went on to play Doogie Howser's mom, and his toddler son Billy. In these early episodes, Crockett's subplot contains plenty of interpersonal family drama of the how can I balance my dangerous job and my family variety. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not all that interesting or fresh or insightful. Crockett's family life doesn't mesh well with the very unconventional series that Miami Vice will soon become, and so within a few episodes, Caroline and Billy will fade from the picture. I'm not going to get too granular with the details of the plot. Big picture. Tubbs comes to Miami to track down Calderon, where his path inevitably crosses with Crockett's. They have a meet cute where they show up on opposite sides of the same drug buy, then they chase each other around on speedboats and trade punches and pull guns on each other before begrudgingly deciding to team up to take down Calderon. There are murders, there are betrayals, there are interdepartmental double dates in the name of duty, and there are romantic hookups because Crockett and Gina have a relatively low-drama co-workers with benefits thing going on. Crockett tries to feed Tubbs to his alligator, they punch each other some more, and then they eventually work together and get their man. They arrest Calderon, but he promptly makes bail and flees the country on his private jet as Crockett and Tubbs stand on the runway, grimly watching their last chance at justice and/or vengeance vanish. Guest stars of note in this episode include Bill Smitrovic, later the dad in Life Goes On, who plays a DEA agent and Crockett's close friend whose betrayal of Crockett brings about Eddie's death. This sets up a popular recurring motif on the series. Crockett is perpetually surrounded by friends, co-workers, and lovers who, intentionally or not, try their best to utterly destroy him. There's also Leon, a doomed lowlife played by Michael T. Williamson, best known as Bubba in Forrest Gump. Leon meets a bad end at the hands of Trini, a cross-dressing Cuban assassin played by versatile character actor Martin Ferrero, who is best known as the guy who gets eaten by a T-Rex while using the outhouse in Jurassic Park. Ferrero will resurface on Miami Vice on multiple occasions as Izzy, a capitalism-loving, Iacocca-spouting Cuban informant. This is a decent start to the series, but it's got a ways to go. Right now, it's just an unusually stylish cop show, whereas Miami Vice is, at its core, A, really weird, and B, bleak as all hell. It's a show about being inexorably destroyed by your job. Crockett and Tubbs are constantly fighting a losing battle to retain their souls in the face of unrelenting corruption and despair. The pilot does have one moment that elevates it into the level of the sublime, and that's the very famous sequence where Crockett and Tubbs speed through the dark Miami streets in Crockett's Ferrari, while Phil Collins's In the Air Tonight plays in the background. MTV Cops, remember? Miami Vice, more than any series before or since, really captured the evocative look and feel of music videos. Miami Vice episodes are always jam-packed with exceptionally well-chosen pieces of music. Composer Jan Hammer created a number of gorgeous instrumental pieces for the series, including the iconic theme song which hit #1 on the Hot 100 charts. Music high points in this episode include Rockwell's outstanding one-hit wonder Somebody's Watching Me, which plays while an undercover Tubbs bops around in a strip club. Also, Miss You by the Rolling Stones and the R&B classic Body Talk by The Deal both play during the opening sequence while Tubbs stalks Calderone in New York. A strong but imperfect start to the series. I'm going to give it a rating of 3 out of a possible 5 flamingos. I could talk forever about this episode, but I don't want to keep you here all day. Thank you very much for joining me. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to discuss this episode or 80s pop culture in general, or if you'd like to discuss the ending of A Boy and His Dog, which I would be more than happy to spoil for you. Be sure to hit subscribe and join me here next time when I discuss the second episode of the series, Heart of Darkness, in which undercover cop Al Bundy gets in way too deep. I will see you then.